Hi, I'm Rob and this is Gems of War. It's Monday, so time to go over if there's anything worth forging in the Soulforge. As usual, let's start with the troops. Just a quick thing, a couple of minutes in, there's a little bit of really important information regarding one of the weapons which you don't want to miss, because you could waste a load of diamonds and you don't want to do that. So hang around for at least a few minutes. Right, just these ones, no need to go over these again. These are in previous What's in the Soulforge videos, so no need to repeat myself. But let's start with the legendaries. Holy St. Astra. She's good. You see her in teams with other humans, multiple ones of this troop, plus something like Tesla. Really dangerous because she gives life and armor to all allies and creates a light storm and enchants all humans. So in an all human team, really dangerous, especially with two of these, because once they're both enchanted, as soon as one casts, it enchants the other one and gets a mini loop going almost, where they're just constantly giving each other life and armor, and can be really hard to defeat if they get that going. As well as that, all human allies start with 50% armor, that really good third trait. So an excellent troop all round, but not really worth crafting, I don't think. Most legendaries do pop up in the chests anyway, so hang around for that. Having said that, I've just seen this one here now, Divania. A really good legendary and a superb troop all round, and works in a great deal of different teams. Explodes all red gems, so as a really good mana generator, cleanses all allies and gives them a life as well, which is everything about that spell is good. Nothing bad about that altogether, and it's always good to have somebody that cleanses in your team if you can. And this works well because it's just two of the things that, three of the things that everybody likes. You need a mana generator, a cleanser is good, and somebody who gives life is good. And this does all three things at once. So absolutely superb and a really good troop. And the traits aren't to be sniffed at either. Mana shield, immunity to mana burn, mana drain, and mana steal, all really good. And Dragon's Blessing, cause a random positive effect on a random ally on 4 or 5 gem matches, is pretty decent too. So all round, really good. And I do usually say don't craft legendaries because they do appear in chests a hell of a lot more often than mythics. But I would go against the grain on this one and say, if you haven't got her already and you do have the resources and you're an early player, go get Divania. She will work in so many teams and be a benefit to you for a very long time. So go get Divania if you can. King Mikhail. He's okay. Explodes a row, deals damage to all enemies and deals 9 more if he's enraged. Kind of early to mid-game troop here. He's fairly decent, but overall not worth crafting. Just wait for that one to appear in chests. Any more? Legendaries. Kerdos. Good, but I don't like a lot of these troops with the percentage chance for something to happen. It just never seems to work out in the percentage favour. Like, I've cast this, when I was testing this troop a long time ago, I must have cast him like 100 times, and that 40% more feels like 25-30% to me. So it does work sometimes, but obviously in something like a Guild Wars battle or something like that, it is easy for a team to counter it with, just by picking teams that are immune to Devour and things like that. So it's not great, it's okay. In certain situations it can be good. It's an okay set of traits. 50% chance to summon a warg when an enemy dies is not too bad. But overall, again, not worth crafting in my opinion. Onto the mythics. Draculaus is pretty good. Starts off, steals a certain amount of life from all enemies. The good thing about steal is it's not just taking it off of all the enemies, you add it to yourself as well, so that whatever that number you have as the steal life is effectively doubled. You take that amount from all the enemies and that gets added to yours. So that makes him very resilient. He can get crazy stats when he starts doing that regularly. As well as that, the traits are actually okay. Immune to poison, disease, lycanthropy and deathmark. Reduces damage by skulls by a quarter. And gains 8 life when deals skull damage. So overall good, but I would not say he's worth crafting. There are much better mythics out there worth saving your hard-earned diamonds for. Queen Aurora. Haven't used her a lot in teams. I've had her a long time, but looked at the spell, give all other allies barrier and a certain amount of life, and create 10 gems of a chosen colour. Again, with the create 10 gems kind of spells, there's nothing certain about it. The amount of times it sets up the other team is unbelievable. And some troops, like the Trolls, for example, when they add 3 gems of a chosen colour and then double the amount of that colour, like the Forest Trolls and things like that. When you get 10, 11, 12 or more gems on the board at one time, that is almost guaranteed to work and get 4 match and fill up a load of your allies. These ones like this, but just as create 10 gems of a chosen colour, it can work, but even if there's 12 gems there in the first place, that is still nowhere near the certainty of one of the Trolls that I've just mentioned. So for that reason, that is probably the main reason why I've not used her much, because it's just risky. Her spell is risky. There probably is a way of getting her to work in certain teams. That Rainbow Link is particularly good. Her last trait, gain bonus mana from all gem matches. But overall, her uncertainty of her spell is why I've never used her personally in many teams. And again, just wait for her to pop up, and I wouldn't craft that one myself. Right, Iraqi Weaver. Now we're talking. Now, you may notice that normally the mythics are 4,000 diamonds, and this one is on 2,000 at the moment. This is some sort of compensation thing for something that happened, I'm not sure, but it's half price right now. And put it this way, this is one of the best mythics in the game for me, bar none. He's probably top 5 for me, and I absolutely love him. And I would have said craft him anyway at 4,000. At 2,000, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's just a no-brainer. If you haven't got him already and you've got these diamonds, just craft Iraqi Weaver. He's absolutely superb. The amount of times this troop has saved a game for me is unbelievable. I've had him in last place before in many battles. Lost the first 3 troops. He's in last place. You start getting a couple of kills from him, and that Creeping Doom, 75% chance to summon a web spinner when an enemy dies, which does seem to be reliable. I know what I just said about the percentage chance thing being a little bit unreliable, but this does actually seem to be 75%. That does happen more times than it doesn't. And from being only one enemy left, I mean one ally left, which is Iraqi Weaver, and almost looks like a no chance of winning the game. I've won games before with this guy and then still had 4 troops left because he's summoned web spinners, and completely turned the game around, just him on its own. And the spell is web all enemies, which is fantastic. You reduce all their magic to 0, so a load of those weapons are really annoying, like skeleton key and life and death, things like that. You reduce that to virtually nothing. It does hardly any damage when you cast web with this guy. Really, really cool. So it webs all enemies, then deals a load of true damage to the last 2 enemies, and if they die, explodes 15 gems at the same time, which makes him a semi-handy mana generator. So, and the traits are absolutely fantastic. One of the best sets of traits of anyone in the whole game. Stealthy, cannot be targeted by spells. Impervious, immune to all status effects. Devour, lycanthropy, and mana burn. That makes him impossible to target. It makes him hard to pick out. It's like, get this guy, get him. He's absolutely superb. Iraqi Weaver, fantastic. Flame of Anu. It's okay. I had it a while now, and I think I used it a couple of times just to test it out. And I didn't find anything initially that made it stand out and be a must-use troop for me. Just deals damage to the first 2 enemies, boosted by burning and fairy-fired enemies. Whoopie-doo! Nothing to shout home about with that one. Traits: Allied Divines gain 2 life, fireproof, immune to burning and fairy fire. Again, whoopie-doo. Immune to burning, so immune to getting 3 damage per turn. No big deal there. And Flaming Mane, burn and fairy fire a random enemy when matching 4 or more gems. So that does work well with his spell, because the spell is boosted by burning and fairy fired enemies. But I've never found anything that makes this guy worth having right now. I may have underused him. I may have to test him a bit more, but my initial trials of him so far is he's not worth crafting. Huang Long deals damage to all enemies, so that's good. A lot of these teams where you get the enemy where they're stealthy and they're really hard to target, like these Life and Death and Iraqi Weaver teams, this is where you want a troop like this that attacks all enemies at once, because otherwise you're onto a loser. Unless you get somebody who's really powerful that can take out those other individuals that you can't target really quickly, you want a team that does damage to all enemies to take on those annoying teams where you get stealthy opponents, like I say, the Iraqi Weaver and Life and Death teams, things like that. So he's good for those kind of teams, but there are also individual 50% chances to gain a certain amount of attack, gain an extra turn, and gain barrier, enchanted, or blessed. The reason why I wouldn't use this troop very often is I like to deal in certainties more. I like to know what's going to work. I like to have a plan. I don't like a certain amount of these troops, mythic or not, where the spell is do this, that, or the other, or 50% chance to do this, that, or the other. It's like, I like to know if it's going to work or not. Set in stone. So for me, my style of play, again, another troop, not worth crafting, but it is okay. If you get lucky with some of them happening more often than not, that will be very, very effective. The traits are okay, but will work much better in an all dragon team, because that third trait there, give 3 magic to all dragon allies when matching 4 or more gems, is decent, but you need an all dragon team for this to work properly. And he's good in first place as well, because of that awesome golden armor. Reduced damage from skulls by 70%. Really good. So Huang Long, decent, but out of this lot here, Iraqi Weaver, the absolute standout by a country mile, even at 4,000 diamonds. But at 2,000, it's absolutely ridiculous. Just go get Iraqi Weaver and Divania if you can, because she is absolutely superb. Now, weapons. First things first on weapons. Just get this out of the way quickly, because I do not want you to waste any unnecessary diamonds. Doomed Wand. This sounds okay. It's nothing fantastic. Create 4 green gems plus 1 gem per tempering level and give armor to all blue allies if the enemy has a doom. Eliminate all armor from a random enemy. Now, obviously you need an all blue team for that to work at its highest, to make it, the best out of it. And the traits are okay as well. But overall, I would not craft that, because that's 800 diamonds and you can get that from the event this week much cheaper, and I will show you where. Go to the event and the Tower of Doom event. You go to the shop and this will cost you 500 gems, which gems come much easier than diamonds do, and just buy up to tier 4 there and that will cost you a total of 500 gems. And that is much easier way of getting that weapon overall if you want it. And as well as that, it gives you a bunch of stuff which is handy for this event. You don't even have to do the event, you just get it by just doing that, which I will do right now. I'll just show this by doing it myself. Get extra doom sigils as well. I just picked up a extra mythic there. Oh, that is superb. I actually wanted a second Ulor. This is interesting because Ulor's great. I love him. He was really underrated when he came out, and then I showed a team that was using him, and that video was, for me anyway, quite popular, and everybody really liked that video, so go check that out if you haven't seen that yet. But the reason I wanted a second one of these is because I reckon with 2 of these at the same time is going to be ridiculous. So I've got an idea in mind for him. So yeah, take a look out for that video, because I'll be doing that soon, because 2 Ulor could be very interesting indeed. So that, and now we'll just spend the last 250 and pick up our doomed weapon. There it is. So yeah, that cost me 500 gems. And gems come way easier than diamonds, so go get this weapon that way if you actually want it. Alright, let's go back to the Soulforge. Just done that a bit quickly, so I don't want you to waste valuable diamonds on a weapon you can get much easier. Right, all these ones we've covered in previous videos, the Xanathos ones. Same as all these Dustbringers, Dawnstones, Dawnbringers, etc. Let's look at the other ones. Ice Aegis. Steal attack and armor from an enemy. If the enemy is a boss, freeze all enemies and barrier all allies. Yeah, it's not bad. That is actually not bad, to be honest. Quite like that. Stealing attack and armor, you take it from them and add it to your own, so that actually is effectively double the effect. But that's only really worth using if your enemies are a boss, so you're against a Zul'Goth or something like that. You can tell the bosses because they have a red trim around their card, so that makes them stand out a lot more. Whether it will work in the high level against Zul'Goth teams and things like that is a thing to test, but there are other ways of beating Zul'Goth really easily with Godslayer trait cards and things like that, so whether that's worth getting or not is another issue, and I probably wouldn't, but it's 300 diamonds, it's quite cheap. That's to be considered, I would say, not essential. Doomed Hammer. Deal heavy splash damage to an enemy +4 per tempering level. Stun all blue enemies and cleanse all blue allies. Explode 4 gems if the enemy has a doom. These doomed weapons are all a little bit like this. And this one's only worth using if you're against a load of blue enemies and you're all blue yourself. So no, that's not standing out to me either. The only dooms I really like are the ones that do the damage first and then change a skull or a colour to a skull, so you can get skull damage from it as well. A lot of these ones that do this extra effects and that are normally not as good as the ones like, I think it's Doomed Axe, where you do damage and then you change purple to skulls. It's like them sort of doomed weapons are the ones that are worth getting. These ones, I would say, not so, and certainly not worth 900 valuable diamonds. Axe of the Storm, super cheap, 75. Remove all blue gems and deal damage to an enemy boosted by gems removed. If the enemy is from Stormheim, deal double damage. Yep, nothing special about that. There's other weapons that are better, more a completist thing. If you need the power level thing where you need to get an extra weapon from Stormheim, for example, go grab it then. But otherwise, not worth it. And there we are. So the standouts, none of the weapons in particular, but I would definitely get that Doomed Wand if you have the gems, because that is a much easier way of getting it than spending valuable diamonds. And troops, absolutely 100%, 150 billion% go get Iraqi Weaver. It's half price for whatever reason. He's absolutely superb, one of the best mythics in the game. Just go get him, no brainer, get that troop. Divania, maybe, if you haven't got her, and she is fantastic. She will aid you for a long time. If you're a newer player and you haven't got her, I would recommend you get her right away, because it may be a certain amount of time, maybe ages before you get her in a chest. It can be lucky if you get her quickly, but this is certainly there right now and definitely worth picking up. And that is the main ones for me. So there's a video. If you found it useful or helpful, be cool if you considered hitting that like and subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. And I'll catch you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.